What's up, friends, and welcome to Wife Jive. We are back and ready for another project video. I know. It's been a minute. It's been a very, very busy fall and winter season. So, it was an interesting fall because this year felt like it was about 1,000,000 years until October, and then October went by in just an absolute blink. And I figured that I would have plenty of time to make a Halloween costume, which I did. I was a deer, and it was lovely, and I super fell in love with it, and it was a really fun little project. And I had figured that I would have enough time in between the deer costume for Halloween and the Victorian Christmas outfit. And boy, was I wrong. I was so wrong, y'all. Because basically I only had one weekend in between Halloween and the Victorian Christmas thing. So this was a very classic example of just procrastinating. As a former cosplayer, I definitely fall into the trap of one, trying to do something new for everything. We're not talking about that here though. And two, waiting until the last minute and pulling a few real late nights to finish an entire costume. So that's basically what I did with this. Now, the thing that's funny about this to me is I have been talking about making this outfit for like a whole year. It's not like I just came up with this thing last minute and all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough time. No. I made masterful procrastination choices in this particular item. So, that said, I actually had a really fun time making this because I was making a top and I was basically rehabbing the skirt part. I already had the skirt. The skirt was already mostly perfect, but on the sides it gapped a little bit too much. So I had to sort of fix that and figure out how to do that. And for the shirt, it was basically taking a pattern and just cutting it out and doing the thing and doing that. There were only some very minor modifications to the shirt pattern. And I'm really happy with how the shirt turned out. The shirt turned out in this very cute, Victorian style kind of way. I used some stash busting for the lace. I had the lace already. And I have had it for a while. It's actually a stretch lace, which was not, in hindsight, the best choice for this particular pattern because it's weight bearing in the bust part. So that makes it kind of stretch a little on the low side. So this is definitely not a conservative Victorian look. So for the most part, when I wear it, I wear a tank top underneath like this to give it a little bit more modesty, at least until I make myself a corset, which will happen eventually. But when that eventually is, I don't know. We'll see. It's not on my plan for anything immediately coming up. So who knows when that's going to happen. But the lace was the making of the shirt was really cool. I used this fabric that I had gotten from our supplier for our Etsy shop. And I really fell in love with it. It's like a pinstripe rayon linen blend, and I really liked the idea of having the pinstripe and then dyeing that fabric to be whatever color I wanted. And I had flip-flopped around a lot on the color. The skirt is burgundy and the skirt is staying burgundy, so I knew that I was gonna not do burgundy, but I wanted it to be Christmassy, but I also wanted it to be something that I could wear just in general. And I've actually worn this shirt a whole bunch of times since I made it. So this is absolutely a part of like regular wardrobe rotation. And I ended up going with a dark green, which when Pot died ended up being kind of like this mottled, like sort of last rays of light through an evergreen forest kind of look. And I super duper love it. It was not on purpose, but I absolutely love the way that it turned out. So I did all of the sewing for the shirt first, and then I dyed the fabric because that made the most sense. And one of the things that I think I love the most about this shirt is that is actually the lace detailing. So what I did for the lace detailing with the chest panel, I just cut the chest panel to the pattern specifications. I used this pattern for it here, and it was a great pattern. It was a very interesting way to do a pattern. I've never used a pattern quite laid out like this before, and I really had a fun time with that. So I'd absolutely buy more Buckaroo Bobbins patterns. Not affiliated with them literally at all. I've just sort of had this one in my want to make for a while. So I just cut that for the bust piece, but for the other lace bits, so the ruffle at the neck, the ruffle on the sleeves, and the ruffle at the bust, which is also on the back, I actually used the same panel of fabric. So I didn't buy separate like lace trim. I very, very meticulously cut the lace trim for this out of the thing, and it was great because the lace had a particular pattern and it kind of was like just a little bit wavy, not too difficult for me to cut out like a whole bunch of strips of this to then gather. So it's a fun little detail that I know that I did that just like kind of makes me absolutely fall in love with it, because like not only is this lace from like a shop that I got that was like a one-time thing, so I don't know that this lace exists anywhere else. I don't know if there was ever more than like one of these bolts that were created, and I hand cut the lace trim for it. So it's like a really special place for me on it. Oh, and the sleeves are elastic, which is not what the pattern called for. The pattern called for like a drawstring. But I've had drawstrings on sleeves at the wrist before, and let me tell you, it seems like a great idea, but in practice it really sucks. So unless you're going for like the pinnacle of the like historical time frame pattern, or you really like the look of drawstrings, don't do this to yourself. And even then, if you like the look of drawstrings, perhaps think about putting in a mock drawstring. And also don't do it at your wrist, because you're just going to get that in food and everything, and that's going to be super annoying. But anyway, the sleeves have elastic, and I really love that because it makes it so that I can roll up the sleeves if I need to, and that has proven to be super helpful on a variety of different occasions, like particularly dealing with like, you know, making food or washing dishes or something like that, where I don't want the sleeves to get in the way. This is also not too warm of a top, which is nice. You know, it's not too cold either, but you have a lot of ability with the rayon linen blend, and also with the large panel for the lace, for the heat to kind of like dissipate away. So in wearing this, I have never been too warm wearing this, which is fantastic, because in general, I run warm. I am sitting here right now in a tank top in our house. It is the middle of winter and it is cold, and we've had a fire going today. And I run particularly warm, especially as a sleeper, but that's a different thing. So it was really nice to, the whole process of making this top. I had a wonderful time making it. I enjoyed the pattern. I enjoyed the concept, the pattern, the making of it, and the dyeing of it. It all went really, really well. And I definitely think that bodes well for my sort of 4 fundamentals, because I did all the things. I had the intention going into it. I had the colors, I had the look, I had the archetype, or I had the style, I had the archetype. So everything lined up absolutely perfect for this top. And I would say that it did for the skirt too. So the skirt rehabilitation seemed like it was going to be a really easy fix. I knew I had to pull the front waistband off and shorten it in the front a little bit, because your girl got some junk in the trunk. And it makes it so that when I have a skirt, oftentimes it's like sloped so that the front part is longer than the back part. And boy, does that annoy me to no end. So I knew that I had to fix the waist. I knew I had to fix the length, and the easiest way would be to pull the waistband and reset that, because that could easily take a couple of inches. And I figured that what I would do is I would take the skirt to the fabric store and just color match the fabric. It seemed to me like a color of fabric that I had seen there before and that would be super easy to find and color match, and I was abso-fucking-lutely wrong. I spent an hour in my local Joann Fabrics, no detriment to them, trying to find a fabric that would color match this. And it was close enough to Christmas season that all the Christmas fabrics were out too. I could find no match, and I am absolutely flabbergasted at this, because this is just plain old cotton. There's like 15 different types of cotton. Should have been able to have it. Everything that I had that was color, like if the color was close, the style of it was wrong, the weave would have been wrong, and it would have looked weird, just like covering these spots at the waist and you know, where the pocket would be. And anything that was close enough to that color that had a pattern to it, where it was like similar enough, you know, like another shade of like burgundy-ish, it had like a pattern to it, and the pattern didn't work for the vibe that I was going for. You know, there were batiks, which is nice. I like a good batik. Not for this project. There were ones that had like little swirly doodads, and I just thought that like if I put them on there, it's gonna look, it's not going to look intentional. You know, it's going to look sloppy. It's going to look like it's a fix, and I didn't want that look for it. So in the end, I ended up choosing a black cotton that had a bunch of like little bits on it that are like gold glitter, which is funny because most of this part you can't really see, so that's fun. But I did make it so that it looked intentional, and I really am happy with how that turned out. And so what I did with the skirt was I did what's called a coquillette skirt. I might be saying that wrong. It's the one that went super viral during the plague times, and it's got like corset in the front part, so that it's like an adjustable skirt, which I super love. Adjustability is so fantastic. It means that you don't have to buy a new thing, or you don't have to like tailor a thing when you lose a few pounds or gain a few pounds, as life may have you. So so I did that, and I did that by first making these like pockets to go in the side, so the pockets connect, and then they turn into a little corset doodad, and then that just gets tightened. And then I had extra of this fabric, and I didn't have a lot of it because I took all that they had, and it was just sort of like barely enough, but I didn't really want to keep the scraps after I had just done the pocket. So to tie things together a little bit more, I made a strip, basically like a sort of a ribbon or like a bias tape almost, and put that around the front part where it ties in the back, so that now you have like a waistband detailing that matches the pockets. Great. Makes it look like it's a little bit more put together. Love that. And then I had a little bit more fabric left over, and I was like, well, what was I going to do? I was hoping to do a ruffle. It is not enough for a ruffle. So what I ended up doing was I ended up ruffling I ended up cutting all of the rest of the fabric into strips, and then sewing them together, and then ruffling them slightly, and then creating a design that I then stitched onto the top of the skirt. And that made it even more put together. And I really like that. I don't know that I'm happy with the pattern that I get stitched on it though. The skirt is like really full, and because it's really full, this pattern that's stitched on the top tends to want to sit inside of the gathers of the skirt, so you can't really see it super well. But I also have like a little like a dot in the front, and that one you can see. So I may decide to, in the future, like take off the design, the little swirly doodads that I put on there, and then cut those into like little rosettes basically, and put those around the bottom of the skirt, where the dot is, which is like just above the bottom ruffle. And then that was it. The skirt was done. So this project took me about a week of doing stuff, just because, like, you know, I had to work, you know, how dare. So this took me about a week, and it turned out absolutely perfect. It definitely hit all the Victorian vibes that I was looking for. They are both pieces of my wardrobe that I will absolutely wear again. The skirt is really great, especially for the wintertime, because it's a lot of fabric, and I'm very, very here for that. But we've been having mostly a lot of rain so far this winter, and it is a longer skirt, and I don't want it to get all rained on and wet, so I haven't worn it a whole lot outside of the house. But I definitely can see myself wearing this all the way going into like spring, probably with like a tank top, just because, like I said, I do run a little warm, and I think it's a really nice little skirt. It would go good with like a peasant kind of top, or also maybe like a cropped band tee or something along those lines. Still trying to keep in mind the kiddie style side of things, which is like cinch that waist and play up volume in the hips and volume in the bust. So trying to find ways that kind of fit into that, but also fit my personal style are important. But I'm very much a like tank top and long skirt person. That is exactly what I'm wearing right now. So we'll see. I think that this skirt's probably a little too hot for summertime, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the seasonality of a wardrobe. So overall, I would say that this is absolutely a win. I'm really happy with this project. I have been talking about it for a year, and I'm like honestly a little surprised that I ended up loving the individual pieces of this project as much as I did, because I had been talking about it for so long, because I basically had this like idealized version of what I wanted this to look like when I was done with it. And as you know, if you've watched my first video talking about creating my own wardrobe, I have oftentimes not experienced like a lot of happiness with a project that I've been thinking about and been mulling over for a long time. But this one absolutely slayed it, and I'm so happy about it. So that's this project. I'm still working on the slip. The slip set. It has turned into a much larger project than I had originally intended. So for those of you that are familiar with the way that I like to make things, you can guffaw now. It's okay. You can say, I knew, or I told you so. I'm going to give it to you. So there's still a video coming for that, but it's not going to be for a little while, because I have just made it into a larger thing. This is basically going to be the linen slip set to end all linen slip sets. So yeah, that is the Victorian Christmas outfit. I hope you enjoy this video of me talking about it, and I hope you enjoy the reveal that's coming. And I look forward to sharing my next project with you. So cheers.